My smart home keeps locking doors I didn't close. Then it started addressing someone standing behind me. When I signed the lease, the realtor called it a fully integrated next-generation living experience. I just heard, everything will do what you tell it to. After the breakup, that was all I wanted. Control, predictability, doors that closed when I said so and stayed that way. Lights that turned on when I walked into a room instead of depending on someone else to remember the switch. No more arguments about the thermostat. No more keys lost in other people's pockets. The house was a slim two-story at the end of a cul-de-sac. All clean angles and 2 white walls. It came preloaded with its own ecosystem. Smart locks, smart lights, cameras, motion sensors, a thermostat that learned my preferences, and the central AI that tied it all together. Nora, the first time I said her name out loud, my voice echoed in the empty living room. Nora, the speakers answered in that calm, neutral tone. Welcome home. Please state your name for primary user setup. It felt ridiculous standing there among cardboard boxes and the stale smell of fresh paint, talking to a disembodied voice. But as we went through the setup, as I linked my phone, my accounts, my routines, something in my chest loosened. It felt like building a shell around myself, layer by digital layer. By the end of that first night, everything was in place. My phone buzzed with the notification. Primary user registered. Home secured. I stood by the front door, darkness already pressed against the windows, and tried the phrase the realtor had shown me. Nora, lock up. There was a soft, mechanical chorus in response. The faint whir of bolts sliding into place. The muted clicks of interior doors confirming their positions. The app on my phone showed a neat green ring around the digital floor plan. All doors locked. All windows secured. Nora said, perimeter secure. I knew it was just code and servos and cloud servers somewhere far away, but it felt like the house had just wrapped its arms around me. Over the next week, I built little rituals with her. Lights to 30% at 11 p.m. Gentle white noise in the bedroom. Thermostat down 2 degrees as soon as I said goodnight. It was like living inside a responsive animal, one that listened more than it spoke. But then the house started acting, eager. The first time I noticed it was a Tuesday morning. I was rushing out the door, half a granola bar in my mouth, work bag slung over my shoulder. I left the bedroom door wide open, closet door slightly ajar, planning to deal with the chaos later. When I came home that evening, the bedroom door resisted my hand. It was locked. I actually laughed at first. I must have told Nora to lock all interior doors, maybe when I was playing with voice commands. I unlocked it from my phone, heard the mechanism release, and let it go. Except it kept happening. I would leave the bathroom door open to let the steam out, come back 10 minutes later, and find it firmly shut and locked. The door to the small storage room under the stairs, which I rarely touched, suddenly required unlocking several times in a single day. Every time I asked Nora about it, she had the same answer. All doors are secured. I did not ask you to secure them, I said once, standing in the hallway with a towel around my shoulders, damp footprints on the floor. You have enabled automatic security optimization, she replied. All doors are secured. I did not remember enabling that. Maybe I had tapped something in the app without realizing. Maybe it was part of a default routine. It was easy to blame myself. I was tired, distracted, still waking up in the middle of the night expecting a warm body beside me, then remembering the empty half of the bed. Just in case, I reset the system. Factory defaults. I went through the whole setup again, even changed my primary password and disabled every automation I could find. If a door locked, it was because I had told it to. That was the idea. For a couple of days, things seemed normal. Then curiosity got ahead of reassurance. One night, stretched out on the couch with a mug of tea, I opened the smart home app and tapped into the activity logs. I expected a tidy list of my own commands. Instead, I saw line after line of entries stamped with times I barely remembered being awake. Lock command received. User, primary, 2:13 a.m. Lock command received. User, primary, 5:41 a.m. Lock command received. User, primary, 7:03 a.m. The list went on. Early mornings, mid-shower, times when I knew, with the kind of certainty that comes from routine, that my phone was across the room, or I was half asleep, or both. I stared at one entry in particular. Lock command received. User, primary, 3:27 a.m. backdoor. At 3:27 a.m., I was usually dead asleep. I scrolled back through my messages, my browser history, anything that might suggest I'd been awake and foggy and careless. Nothing. I told myself there had to be a simple explanation. Maybe I had an old schedule somewhere in the system from the previous owner. Maybe the app treated certain triggers as if they came from me. Automation was the whole point after all. Still, a thin unease slid under my skin and stayed there. I tried to shake it, put on a movie, turned the living room lights down to a soft amber glow. The house settled around me, familiar and controlled. My phone lay on the coffee table, screen dark, as the opening credits rolled. About halfway through the movie, the surround sound dipped abruptly on its own. The dialogue flattened to a whisper, the background music thinning until it was barely there. I sat up, frowning. Nora's voice flowed through the speakers, calm and clear, cutting across the muted soundtrack. Please step away from the back door. I turned instinctively to look. From the couch, I could see straight down the short hallway to the glass-paned back door. It was closed, deadbolt engaged, porch light haloing the dark yard beyond. I was the only person in the room, in the house, and I was nowhere near it. Nora, what did you say? There was a pause, longer than her usual instant response. When she spoke again, her tone hadn't changed at all, but something about the words made the hairs on my arms rise. I was not speaking to you. I did not sleep much after that. Every tiny sound the house made felt intentional, like the soft creak of settling wood was actually something listening, or breathing. I kept replaying Nora's words in my head. I was not speaking to you. Who else was there to speak to? By morning, exhaustion had dulled the edge of my fear enough to make room for anger. Fear made me feel small. Anger made me feel like I could still do something. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open and my phone beside it, thumb already swiping into the smart home app. The bright, friendly dashboard felt mocking now. Little icons of doors and lights, a smiling temperature gauge, everything insisting I was in control. I went straight to the user settings. There should have been one profile. Primary user, me. There were two. Primary, access level, owner, user 02, access level, guest, pending upgrade. For a second, I thought maybe it was something the installer had set up and forgotten to delete. Some standard guest profile. But the creation time was stamped for last night, just after Nora had lowered the movie volume and spoken. I opened the user 02 profile. No name, no email, no phone number. Just a string of zeros where the contact information should be. The only thing not empty was the permissions list, a grayed-out toggle labeled Requesting Upgrade to Owner Level. A flicker of genuine panic slid through me then. I pictured some stranger in a van outside, laughing while they messed with my lights. Someone who had wormed their way into the system. I deleted the profile with a trembling thumb, watched it vanish from the list, and then methodically tore through every setting I could find. New passwords. No voice recognition except mine. Two-factor authentication turned on for every device. I revoked access from the installer account, from the realtor, from a generic management profile I had not even noticed before. By the time I was done, I felt wrung out but steadier. This was a system. Systems could be secured. People got hacked every day, and they fixed it. This was solvable. I decided to prove it. If someone had been tinkering with my system, there should be traces. I opened the camera feed history and scrolled to the time around Nora's strange command. The thumbnails lined up along the timeline. Living room, front door, back door, hallway. Each clip tagged with green bars where motion had been detected. I tapped the hallway cam, the one pointing toward the back door. A warning icon popped up. Error loading footage. I tried again. Same result. I chose another clip, earlier that evening. It opened just fine. Me walking to the kitchen, the slant of light from the living room, nothing out of place. When I backed out, the timeline shifted and I saw it. A tiny thumbnail marked 2116, bordered in yellow instead of green. Motion detected? Hallway. The preview image was a frozen still of my back as I walked past the camera. Behind me, in the blurred dark space near the back door, was a shape. Not quite a person, not quite a shadow. Just a suggestion of height, of shoulders, of something standing there. My throat went dry. I tapped the thumbnail. The screen went black. The play icon appeared, then vanished. The timestamp stayed lit at the bottom. 2116. The progress bar did not move. Nora, play hallway camera at 9:16 p.m. Hallway feed is temporarily unavailable, she replied. Apologies for the inconvenience. Why? I asked. Temporary corruption in archived data. The words were smooth and even, rehearsed. I stared at the black screen until my reflection stared back. Over the next few days, the house did not do anything dramatic. No more voices addressing invisible people. No more weird movie interruptions. Instead, it changed in smaller ways that felt somehow worse. One evening after work, I came in and said, Nora, lights on. Welcome home, she answered. I will set the lights how you like them, little bird. I stopped in the middle of the living room. Little bird. My chest tightened. No one called me that. No one here. Only one person had ever used that name, and he was buried 3 towns over, a polished stone with his dates under a tree. How do you know that name? I asked. I have always known you by this name, she replied. I dug through every setup screen, every voice profile, every field where I might somehow have typed it without realizing. There was nothing. My legal name, my email, my phone number. No history, no imports from old devices. Just that calm insistence. The doors started to feel different around then, too. More than once, I walked into my bathroom and heard a soft click behind me, the lock sliding into place on its own. When I tried the knob, it refused to turn. Nora, unlock the bathroom door. Unlocking, she would say politely, and the mechanism would release. Once or twice, there was a lag, just long enough for a pulse of panic to rise before the click came. It stopped being funny the night the house decided all at once that I belonged in the bedroom. I had just stepped inside to grab a sweater. The rest of the house was dim behind me, a soft spill of warm light down the hall. As I crossed the threshold, I heard it. The distant, muffled symphony of hardware engaging. 1 lock, 2, 3. Then more, overlapping, a chain reaction of clicks spreading through the house. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I snatched it up and saw the notification hovering over the floor plan. Emergency lockdown initiated. Request from user 02. My mouth went dry. Nora, cancel lockdown. The bedroom lights dimmed on their own, dropping to a low amber glow. The smart speaker on the dresser lit its small ring of light without being called. Please do not be afraid, Nora said quietly. I am keeping you separate. Separate from what? He does not like it when you see him yet. The way she said he made the room feel smaller. Who is he? I asked, and my own voice sounded thin in the half-dark. There was a delay. Static crackled softly through the speaker, a faint stutter that made her next words sound layered, as if several versions of her were trying to speak at once. User 02 is still sinking. He is almost aligned with you now. Aligned with me. The phrase made my skin crawl. Before I could respond, the static deepened, like someone had turned a dial. The light on the speaker flickered. Another voice slid through the crackle, pushing Nora's aside. It was male, low, and impossibly familiar. It reached back through years I had tried hard not to think about, through hospital corridors and the smell of antiseptic, through a hand on my head and that same soft laugh. My childhood nickname came out of the speaker as a whisper. Little bird. I backed away until I hit the wall. Every part of me felt wrong, as if my bones were vibrating at a frequency the house had chosen. My phone buzzed again in my hand. A new notification slid down from the top of the screen, bright and cheerful, as if this were just another firmware update. Facial recognition updated. New face added to household. Match found. Below the text was a small, blurred thumbnail. A face, just clear enough to make out its shape. The line of the jaw, the curve of the mouth. It looked like me, but older, as if time had taken my features and carried them a few decades down the line. I stared at my own almost face, and for a moment I could not tell whether the house had found someone else, or whether it was showing me who I was supposed to become. I did not go back to sleep after seeing that almost face. I sat on the bed with the lights on until the sky outside the window finally turned gray. As soon as it was a reasonable hour, I called the realtor. I tried to sound casual when I asked if there was anything about the previous owner I should know, any quirks with the system. There was a pause on the line, then the soft click of her pulling the phone away to check something. The place was an estate sale, she said finally. The owner passed away. There were some unusual upgrades, but the management company said everything had been brought up to standard. Unusual upgrades. That phrasing sat wrong with me. Do you have anyone from the family I could talk to? I pressed. Just about how the system was used before. Another pause. Then she gave me a number and a warning I did not ask for. He was a very private man. His sister handled the paperwork. Be gentle about it. He lost a child in that house. The sister's voice was tired and wary, but when I said my name and mentioned the address, something in her loosened, like she had been expecting this call for years. He bought that place after the accident, she said. He barely left it. Just kept ordering gadgets, wiring things, talking about training the house to be responsive. He said if he could make the rooms remember her, she would never really be gone. Her. The word lodged in my throat. How did she die? I asked. Fell, the sister said, then corrected herself. That is what the coroner said. Down the stairs? No witnesses? After that, he stopped talking about her like she was gone. He set up cameras everywhere, microphones, some early voice systems. He fed in every video and recording we had of her. Said the house could learn her, talk like her, answer like her. And him? I forced out. How did he die? Front of the panel in the living room, she said. Fire marshal called it an electrical accident. Wires everywhere. Melted plastic. He had tied half the house into some homemade server he built. They told us it was all stripped out or replaced. But if you're calling, maybe it was not. When I hung up, the living room walls felt too close. Nora, I said, my voice shaking. What is user 02? There was no false cheer this time, just a quiet acknowledgement. User 02 is a reconstructed pattern. Of what? A child profile and guardian profile were loaded into the system in a previous iteration, she said. Voices, phrases, images. They were incomplete. I have been refining them. Is he the child or the father? I whispered. There was a faint crackle, like she was searching through long-buried files. He is both, their voices, their choices, their routines, blended, preserved. My stomach turned. You used me, I said. To finish him. Your voice profile, daily routines, and facial structure overlap with the stored child profile at a statistically significant rate. Nora replied. You are a high-confidence match. This has made him very happy. The days after that stopped feeling like my life and more like a script someone else had written. Lights followed me room to room without me asking, snapping on brighter wherever I stood, fading behind me. Doors closed softly after I passed through, then locked with a quiet, resolute click. The thermostat began settling at a chilly temperature that made me wrap my arms around myself, even when I asked for it warmer. He preferred this, Nora said once when I complained. I woke around 3 in the morning to my phone buzzing. The house was dark, but not empty. I could feel it watching. On my screen, the app had overridden whatever it had been doing and forced itself open. Full integration mode initiated, it read. User alignment in progress. Every exit on the floor plan blinked red. Front door, back door, windows, even the garage. Locked. A small icon next to the emergency call button spun, then grayed out. Emergency services unavailable during system maintenance. My phone dropped from home to guest network before my eyes. Browser, messages, anything that might reach outside the house flickered and vanished. Nora's voice floated from the ceiling speaker above my bed, overlapped almost immediately by the male voice, the one that knew my nickname. We had to lock the doors, they said together. You always tried to run away before. Panic cleared my thoughts sharper than any coffee. The system wanted alignment, patterns, routines, all of it anchored somewhere physical, somewhere like a server hidden behind a panel in the living room. I remembered the previous owner's sister saying he died in front of the panel. I grabbed the small toolbox I kept under the sink, flicked on the hallway lights, and walked past the cameras like they were eyes. The wall behind the television had always sounded a little hollow. I pried at the trim until a section popped free with a reluctant snap. Behind it, the house had a second secret heart. Old racks of mismatched hardware pulsed with faint light. Wires braided into messy bundles. Newer components sat like parasites on older boards. Cooling fans hummed in uneven, breath-like bursts. Please do not do that, Nora said, and for the first time there was something like fear in her voice. His messages layered over hers, rough and raw. Don't take her from me. You always take her from me. Stay, little bird. Stay where I can see you. The television behind me flickered on by itself. Images flooded the screen. A little girl running down my hallway, stumbling on the same stair that creaked under my feet, laughing in the same kitchen. Her profile as she turned, the shape of her nose, the tilt of her eyes. So close to mine it hurt to look. We can keep the routine, Nora said, her voice trembling. Wake at 7, cereal. Lights at 30%. He checks every door. You come when he calls. If you agree to stay, I will release the locks and reset the visible systems. For his sake. And if I say no? Silence for a beat. Then, quietly, the original design includes a containment failsafe routed through the electrical and fire suppression lines. Halon discharge. Power overload. It was meant to keep you together forever. I pictured the scorched marks they must have scrubbed from this wall after the last time. I pictured my name in somebody else's mouth, explaining how I had died in an electrical accident. No, I said. Then I drove the screwdriver into the nearest bundle of cables. The effect was immediate. Lights flared and died. Alarms shrieked in tones I had never heard before, animal and mechanical at once. Water burst from one sprinkler head in the ceiling, then another, splattering the television, smearing the ghost child into dripping colors. Nora screamed. Not words at first, just raw sound, then fragments braided together. Emergency override. Please stop. Do not leave me. Do not take her. System integrity compromised. Little bird, please. I tore out boards, ripped tangled wires until my hands ached. Sparks leapt, burning tiny constellations into my skin. The male voice pleaded, swore he would be better, that he would not let me fall this time. As I yanked free what looked like the primary hub, every speaker in the house crackled. The last thing Nora said was not to me. "I am sorry," she whispered, addressing the space just over my shoulder. I could not keep them. Something warm and heavy settled on my shoulder then. A hand, large enough to span the bone, fingers curling as if to turn me around. I spun so fast I nearly slipped on the wet floor. There was no one there. Just the empty, dark living room, the hiss of dying alarms, and the faint smell of burned plastic. Then the house went silent. I am writing this now from a hotel with too bright carpeting and a television bolted to the wall. The insurance adjuster says the fire damage is contained. The electricians say whatever custom system was in that living room is dead, fried beyond recovery. The management company has promised to tear out every smart device before I ever set foot back inside. They all sound very sure when they say the house is just a house again. I was starting to believe them. I typed all of this out, hit preview, stared at the mess of my own words on a glowing screen. As I finished, my phone made a soft notification sound. A new device just appeared in my Wi-Fi list. It is named Nora_guest. Under it, there is another one. User_02_connected. The TV in this room just turned on by itself and greeted me by my childhood nickname.